Who are you? How do I know you?
Better life.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw your post. I think it was from a couple, maybe a week and a half ago. I was just scrolling through my feed, what had popped up since I'd last been on there, and I saw the post that you made for the open invite to just hang out, chat, and I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. So here we are.
Nice. People need friends so bad.
What got you doing this?
I love people so much, and I just want more of them. Every second of every day, I want to be with people, and so yeah. I don't know.
Sweet.
Been doing it for like a decade. Been doing it for like 5 6 years.
Really? How often do you have
Yeah.
people take you up on it?
Um, it used to be when I first started. I had it open for like probably it used to be hour long calls, so it'd be like 4 hours a week. It'd be full, pretty full.
Wow.
Now, lately, the last probably 2 months, I do 30-minute calls, but I have like 12 a week.
Wow. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, I love it so much. I wish there was more.
Wow. Well, I'll be telling my tribe or my pod. I'll be telling my pod to sign up for one with you. So that's cool.
Do it. Yeah, it's no risk. Just people hanging out. So, um, who are you? What's your story? What are your hopes and dreams?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot there. Also, Alex, my wife and I live like 35, 40 minutes, depending on traffic, north of Boston, a little town called Manchester by the Sea. Um, and have two little kids, 2-year-old and, oh, excuse me, not two. He's three, 3-year old and 5-month old. And we started getting into real estate in 2019, bought a two-family, house hacked it for 5 months, and then I got a job working at a college where we got to live there for free for 4 years. And so kept kind of house hacking in a way, but then we're continuing to buy uh, long-term rental at that point every year. And so, but back in 2022, April 2022, really kind of, I guess, before that, technically, we took a little bit of a pivot and started doing short-term rentals. And so now the business that we started in April 2022 grew to the point where it made me switch from my full-time job into a part-time in 2023, and then I left that job altogether in May of 2023 to do full-time uh, work in the short-term business that my wife and I have. So we both work like 20-ish hours a week, spend time with our kids, and we just do the short-term rental stuff, managing for other people, but then our own portfolio of rentals as well. So
Dude, that's gangster. Good for you.
yeah, it's been sweet.
Yeah,
We've been it's been surprising how fast it's grown. And then, when you start managing for other people, if you're in a good area like we are for it, we have tons of beaches, tons of, tourism is in our area with like Rockport, Mass, or Salem for Halloween. October's nuts here. And
I've
so
been to
there's just,
Salem for
there's,
Halloween.
yeah, so you're like 15 minutes away from my house. Yeah. Yeah. Super close, right down
Nice,
the road. Yeah.
nice,
So,
dude.
it gets crazy.
That's
So
great.
it's,
I mean,
it's a good area.
not everybody was so lucky with Airbnbs that they bought in that time period.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, a lot of some of the leads that I've had reach out to me recently are people. I talked to someone this week who she's like, I've had no bookings since November and I don't have any for March. So she's going on 5, 6 months with no bookings. And it's like, yeah, that sucks. I mean, her only saving grace was she's owned the house for 20 years, so she doesn't have a high overhead, but there's going to be some turnover coming up soon. So,
I wrote an article for Bigger Pockets in 2020 that said Airbnb is wildly overrated, And I was pretty confident that I was right. And then who could have imagined, I think it was before COVID, right? And then COVID happens and Airbnb goes ballistic and everybody starts calling me an idiot and yada, yada, yada. And then like COVID ends and now like a lot of people who own Airbnb, it was so bad, it got so lucrative that even I was like, maybe I was wrong. I got 2 houses, let me convert them to Airbnb. And then somewhere around last year, it just stopped. And I'm like, now I have these houses that make less than if they were long-term rentals. So I converted them back. And I was like, I was right the whole time. I should have never listened to these idiots. But I'm glad that
That's so funny.
all that being said, I'm glad that you're doing well because most people I think are not having that same experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I feel like when my version of COVID with the short-term stuff, I felt like I heard a lot of people who were underwater because of all the travel restrictions. So I was hearing a lot of stories of people who were not able to pay and that they were, you know, behind their payment because no one was able to cross state lines. At least up in New England, it, seemingly was like that. So,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. What it's like Warren Buffett says, buy when there's blood in the water, and I think there's going to be some, unfortunately. So,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not a monolith. It's not like one market is the whole industry.
Right.
So, I got a buddy down in South Carolina who, in 2017, he was buying rentals like me, and he's like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go buy an Airbnb," which in 2017 wasn't new, but he's like, "I'm gonna go buy this like $400,000 Airbnb, $350,000 Airbnb in Carolina Beach," and I'm like, at the time we were buying these like $50,000 like bulletproof rentals. And I was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go try it." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know anything about it. I can't help you. Good luck." I was a little scared for him. 2020 comes along, and it was like the #1 tourist destination in the United States during COVID because it was the place that most people could drive. And so by that time, he has like 7 of these things. They all go to $1 million each.
Jeez.
And he just cleans up, bro. And he's like, "Yeah, Alex
That's
still buying
good
those
for him.
$50,000 houses." And I'm like, "You jackass."
Well, I would imagine too. He probably is he buying that all with his own money, or does he have partners on that?
Got partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, he killed it. He did great. But, yeah, he did great. I'm happy for him. He's living a good little existence now.
That's killer. Good for him.
Yeah.
They're a lot of work. They're a lot of work. That's why people hire management for him because it's not easy at
his wife
times.
do it together. They love it. Like he's got a whole thing now. He manages like probably I don't know. I have no idea how many, but he manages lots of other people's. Like he's just got he is the business of that in that area. So
yeah, good for him. That's what I'm trying to be for this area. So
yeah, I can introduce you to him if you want. I don't know if it's
cool.
useful, but
yeah, I'm always happy. I would love to. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, let me make a little note here. Yeah, I do this a lot. I'm like a super connector.
No, that's great. I love it. Actually, I was thinking about before I signed up. I was like, oh, what would I want to talk about? And I remember at the Vegas conference, you were talking about. I think you talked a little bit about on stage raising private money, and that is one of the things I'm interested in because, I'm at a point in the business where, I'm starting to really have some good scale or systems in place to be able to scale.
Mm-hmm.
Where prior to this year, since I bought my first place, I had been doing everything. So even up through last summer, we had 25 properties that we were managing, which isn't like a crazy amount, but it's a decent amount. I think it's like, I saw a statistic recently that I think it was like less than 5% of people have 20 plus listings. So it's like a decent amount. But I was doing everything, like all the handyman work. I was mowing lawns. So I'm finally at the point where which is totally like a scarcity, bad mentality, right? But, finally at the point where I have some good systems. I think I have some good boots on the ground people in this area that I can trust and who are reliable. And so now I'm really starting to think about scaling. And I don't know how much with the Airbnb stuff you listen to, but kind of like the big sexy thing in Airbnb right now is to buy small boutique hotels because the systems are relatively similar.
Well,
And so
hotels figured this out long ago.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
Right. And there's ways with hotels like the smaller ones that you can do a lot of like contactless, low staffing, that kind of stuff, right? So you can really lower your overhead, boost your commercial valuation, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, you
So
put your corporate greed in the hands of small business owners. Wow.
there you go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm thinking a lot about that, and to buy something like that in this area is going to require me to have partners. I had something pop in my email this week. It was a 7 unit building for 3.2. I'm like, I can't take this down on my own. So I'm trying to figure out the private money stuff, and I was just one of the questions I had is what advice would you have for someone who hasn't borrowed from anyone yet? I've borrowed a little bit of money from some family, paid them back right away. But when it comes to actual investors, taking down my first, raising fund, whatever you want to call it, be curious what advice you would have for that.
Yeah. First, if you've borrowed money and paid it back, then you have investors. So don't diminish it just because you knew them.
Okay.
Nobody who you
that's fair.
don't know is going to lend you money. So whether they're close or not, they're going to have to be somewhat close before they let you borrow money. Secondly,
Yeah.
second thing I would do is I would write all that down. Why did you borrow it? What did you spend it on? How did you ask? Right? What were the terms? Like, write the whole thing out, because what you want to do is you want to put that on the internet as a blog or whatever, so that somebody, when they come and do due diligence on you, they can find out, they can understand your process. Otherwise, you're just a face asking for money. But it's like, no, I do this. Here's why.
Yeah.
Here's how I do it. Here's my track record. So like, start getting that stuff on the internet somewhere.
So
Um,
that kind of leads me to an
well,
additional question, but
one
sorry, I don't
one
want to
last thing I
interrupt
would say
your
is,
train of thought.
yeah, one last thing I would say is partners. I mean, I think what a lot of people do, myself included, is, again, you're trying to do everything now at a higher scale. You're like, I'm going to find the property, I'm going to manage the property, and I'm going to raise the money, and I'm going to da 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 da. And it's like, it's the same problem at a higher scale. It would be so much easier if you're like, okay, so on a GP, like 10% of the GP is like for capital raising. It would be so much easier to just partner with somebody who is a capital raiser and give them 10%.
That's I had not thought of that.
Yeah.
I had
And that
not
way
thought of
you do
that.
your thing and somebody else does their thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's that simple or perfect or easy, but like, trying to go off and learn how to raise money, it's like the problem you have is if you don't like it, you're not good at it, or it doesn't work. Now your scalability is stuck based on this thing that you may or may not be good at and or like.
Right. No, that's a
So
super interesting thought. I had not thought of. I was thinking it was all going to be up to me to raise the money on my own. So that's an interesting thought of having a partner. Yeah, I've heard some horror stories, but those are anecdotal. That doesn't mean that that's always the case, right?
yeah,
So
I've heard horror stories, and I've also seen
That's
a
a good
lot of
thought.
big checks. I've also seen a lot of big checks get cashed. So like, I,
yeah, totally,
I
totally.
these days, if it, and this is just my bias, like these days, I would never do anything by myself ever again, because partners have been so lucrative for me. What I think about now with partners, I'm like, dude, what if you just found that deal and you're like, wait, I got 10% and all I had to do is find the deal. Wait, I got another 10% for managing the deal. Somebody else pays for the whole thing. Somebody else deals with all the investors. It cost me 10% to outsource that entire, and I can pay for anything now.
Yeah,
That's worth way more than 10% actually. So like, now I think about it and just go, well, what if you could outsource the operation of the deal and all you had to do is find the deal and you got paid, instead you get paid 20%, you got paid 10%. Now you have to do no work and no capital raise. All you have to do is find the deals and you got paid your 10%, like 70 is going to go to the investors. So there's only 30% that you're going to get divvied up. So like, I don't know. When I started thinking about partners, like my partnership, my multifamily syndication, all I do is talk to investors. Which, if you've not noticed, I don't mind talking to people. So I'm like,
Right.
all I have to do, somebody else runs the deal, somebody else manages the property, somebody else does the eviction. Property's in North Carolina. I'm in Hawaii. I don't have anything to do with the deal or the tenants. Somebody else, they pay the taxes, they do the books, they send out the distributions, they do the insurance. Somebody else deals with the bank. All I do is I talk to the investors. And so I'm like, wait, I get 30% of a deal? I get 30% of a deal for doing the part that, it's fun, not work. It's like fun.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about partners. It's like you can take 90% of the workload that you don't want to do and only keep the 10% of the workload you do want to do and get paid, like, not all of it, but you give up, you give up 50 or 60%, but you take on basically no workload, no hard workload.
Yeah, that's super interesting. That's given me some food for thought there. That's good. Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
I can do another intro with you, actually. Let me introduce you. I got to get my VA to help me with this.
Oh, we interviewed VAs today. We're finally buckling down and hiring some VAs.
Nice. Yeah,
Do you
I
have
have a VA.
VAs do social media stuff for you?
A little bit like this right here. This is not a it's not a podcast, but I record them and then I publish them on YouTube. For what reason I don't actually know yet. Nobody watches them. But what it does, it lets us get short clips out of it. And it's sort of I'm sort of building a machine. So she does a little bit. Right now I feel bad for my VA. I'm a terrible boss and I'm very unstructured. So she's sort of like just chasing I'm just like you remember that scene from the Batman where he goes like I'm like a dog. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught the toy anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I am. And I'm like, this poor lady's just chasing me around and I'm like, I'm just bitching and it's just a mess. But it's I have to figure it out. I have to get good at it. So
Yeah. The podcast Brandon did with was it Valerie something? Valentina?
dude, that's who I hired. She's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
That
who
was
you
a
used?
really helpful episode. No, we ended up using it's called Fusion Management or Fission Management. I think it's Fusion Management. They were connected to a mastermind that we're in for short-term rentals. The guy that started that mastermind started a VA hiring company who only hire people, or let me rephrase, who only recruit people who have worked at Airbnb before. So then there's that connection and they understand and it's more specialized.
Yeah. Val kind of does that. Not exactly. A lot of what she does is like with wholesaling, with VAs who do wholesaling. So I'm a bit of an anomaly,
Oh,
but
interesting.
they're great. In fact, I talked to her today and she's like, hey, because I told her, I was like, hey, I'm having a trouble. Like Christine, she's fine. I'm the problem. I told her, I said, the problem is really that I don't think I need a VA. I think I need a boss. But that's a different that's a different problem. And Christine is not cut out to be my boss. Almost nobody in the world is. So it's not a dig on her. But she's gonna help me. We're gonna set it up. I haven't told Christine yet. She'll probably. I hope she hears it from me before she watches this. But they have training.
I was gonna say she's gonna, yeah.
They have training. So I'm like, she's like, let's just run. They have training for the VAs and the bosses.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
like
We don't.
we'll run you both. We'll run you
Yeah.
both through it. I'm like, great, we need it.
No, that sounds awesome. I feel like the boss side of things is actually probably just as important.
Fuck yeah, yeah. What do you know?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah. I'm like, of course I'm screwing this up. So,
Oh,
anyways, yeah. So Christine will do like most of what I ask. It's just a matter of like, finding out what she's good at, what she likes doing, how I can like create systems that create accountability, all this boss stuff that I'm just not a good. I don't know. It gets better over time. So it's just, I mean, it sounds like you have a little bit more like of a established business than me. Mine's kind of like, I'm really like I'm very nomadic.
Well,
Both
I
like
mean, on the business side, yeah, but I I I'm like shiny object syndrome guy too. Like I like bounce like crazy. So
girl, don't get
you
me
know,
started.
yeah, it's a problem.
It's
It's
a
a problem.
problem.
Yeah,
One thing I did
but
this week that might
I mean,
help
one
you
of the
actually.
things.
One thing I did this week. Sorry to cut you off. But this is
No, you're
what I
good.
did. We have a Monday morning meeting, and like now, I wrote the three main goals of the company on a. We have a Notion board that's like our
Mhm.
company. This is our company doc, and so the first thing we go over every week is like these are the goals of the company. If something that I talk about doesn't align with those three goals, we don't fucking do it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and that way
That's a good idea.
it keeps me from being like we're gonna do this thing, and it's like no 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 no. It's not on the list.
Hmm. That's smart. I feel like it's even though I been doing the whole pod thing for the last year when Brandon opened it, and it's hard to even going to my weekly pod call, it's still hard to keep those goals in front of you. It's easy to kind of diverge when life gets crazy or stuff pops up. It's hard to remember, hey, these are the three annual goals that I have. This is what the quarterly goals are for. These are what the daily habits are pushing towards. It's hard to remember that. Totally
Uh, you ever read a book?
lose track sight of that.
You ever read a book called Walden by Henry David Thoreau?
No. Sounds like a book I
You're
probably would have spark noted in high school.
yeah, it is. Are you a reader? Are you much of a reader? Wannabe?
Uh, I'm a wannabe. Yeah, I'm a
Um,
wannabe.
I don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as like a same thing. It's
No,
attention.
but
Like
it's true.
yeah, yeah. Um, dude, if you can manage to read this book, it's not exactly what we're talking about, but one of the things he says, I recommend it to everybody. So it's not like, but it's really good for current day. It's a guy who basically he's like city life is so stressful and it's so unnecessary. So I'm just gonna go live in Massachusetts at Walden Pond by myself in a shack for 2 years, and he writes about it. And he's like, life went on. Like all this stuff is stress. Is like all this stress. All this like I'm gonna do these millions of things. It just stresses you out, and then it's fine. You don't need all this. It's just like simplify. So simplify, simplify, simplify. So my word of the year, I do a word of the year every year. Word of the year this year is simple. So that sort of thing helps me out. Every time I have like a distraction, I'm like, no, just Alex, you've been doing these things for 8 years. Just stick with them. So
I'll check
that
it
might
out.
help you.
Maybe. Yeah. No. Thanks for the suggestion. Hmm,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Anyway,
Thanks.
I'm just giving you all this
Um,
unsolicited advice. I apologize.
no, it's great. It's great. Well, the solicited advice I was hoping part of what I was gonna ask too is, um, I have done. I went to Brandon's social media training. I haven't really done anything with social, but I see it as being like a key mountain I need to climb to be able to push my business forward. Um, Both from a management business, but also I'm in process. I have to take the test still, but I'm in process of getting my license. And so I see that as another way where once I get my real estate license, I have the business, they work hand in hand, funneling into one another of representing current clients on purchases and sales, and then converting buying and sales clients into management clients. So I see like the social media as like a pretty big component in being able to gather people into that, cyclical funnel. Um, Along with a host of like um, digital products to uh, sell to people when I don't think that I'm a good fit for them management wise, or if I don't think that there's enough room in revenue for me to be a part of that particular management deal, to have a consulting package. There's all sorts of stuff, right? But I see like social as being like a pretty pivotal, critical component of that, as well as, you mentioned blogging earlier, having like a really strong blog on my website that's SEO optimized and all that. And I'm wondering, Brandon's, like I said, I went to that, but I'm also wondering if you have any pieces of advice or resources that you would point someone to who, I'm basically starting. I was telling one of the interviews today for the VA stuff. She has experience in doing some social media management. And I was telling her, hey, we're basically starting from zero. I have like 70 followers on my real estate Instagram. So, there's a challenge here. We have to get the ball rolling. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Wondering if you have any advice on getting that ball rolling forward, or things that you've done to get momentum.
I've done well with social, actually, even though I don't have that big of a following. And in some ways I've done really poorly with social because I don't do the one thing that you probably know is the key to social. And all you need to do is this one thing. And if everybody only did this one thing, they would be successful. But they don't do this one thing. Do you know what the one thing is?
I think you're going to say just post. Just
fucking
post
every
social.
day. How many times did you post today?
Zero.
Wow, ball's not gonna roll that way. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of the same thing. So like, I watch Brandon. I watch these people. I was able to raise a good bit of money and buy a couple of $1 million of real estate because I made blog posts and I would post on Facebook a lot. And then the whole world kind of went to video over the last few years, and it's harder for me, which is a bad excuse. And so then I just kind of fell off. And, I go to a lot of events. I spend a lot of time talking to people on social. I do this, right? But I just don't post consistently. And so therefore I will not succeed. And if I posted every day, even if it was just this is what I got going on. This is what I learned. This is how I can help. Let me know if you want to be friends. And that's it. And just send it. And then, you have somebody that, hey, can you repost this? You don't have to do much. Hey, can you repost this on TikTok? Can you add captions? Yada, yada, yada. Like, just like you said, get the ball rolling. No one's going to be able to do that for you. You can't outsource it.
Yeah. The actual
your
being
face,
on video.
Your fucking face, face, your ideas, your personality.
See, I don't want to do that. Yeah.
There's no, that is it. That's it. Everybody, I swear, like everybody would be, my fiance, I'll give you this. My fiance has inspired me to an absurd degree. She's in the quilt world. That's an industry, apparently. I didn't know. In quilting. And so in December, she's like, dude, I've been quilting for 20 years. My mom owns the biggest quilt store in Virginia. I love quilt industry. I want to be in the quilting industry, and I want to be a business owner, and I want to own a quilt store, and I want to be a quilt influencer. That was December 6th. She comes home. She posts on Instagram every day. It's quilt stuff. Did you know about this quilt thing? Here's this quilt I'm quilting. Something about quilt culture. Did you know quilt con's going on? Just quilt stuff. And so she posts she makes 6 or 7 reels on Sundays, and then she posts them throughout the week, and that's it. And it takes her 2 hours. She went from 800 followers on Instagram to 9442.
Jeez. My goal for 2024 was to hit 10,000. If I was, and she did that in.
She did it in 2 months.
3 months.
Yeah, not even.
That's crazy. Just from being consistent.
Dude, she uses a cell phone. She don't have a VA. She didn't have a business yet. She's like, but I'm gonna open a quilt store. So now I'm like, now you have 10,000 customers, and they love her, dude. Wow. And her comments are off the chain. She's not trying to do viral hooks. She's not like she's just. This is just what I got going on. Wow. And she's just dominating. Why? Why? Because she does the one thing that you and I won't do. What's the thing?
Post consistently.
Fucking posting. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy because I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's so interesting. And I give people the advice and I'm like, hey, I can't do this. So you can either fail with me or you can be better than me.
Wow. It's so funny. I remember a Gary Vaynerchuk video from a couple years ago, and he was talking about that exact thing. He's like, there are these small little pockets of people that are really passionate about that thing. And if you just post, you will be the figurehead of that small little special group of people. And it's like, this is exactly what you're talking about. The
Dude,
quilt. Who
dude,
knew?
there's no quilters in the quilt industry that have like 7 million followers. The biggest people in the entire quilt industry, because she knows them all, is like 250,000 followers.
I
I'm
mean,
like
that's
250,000.
still, that feels high to me. That's a
It
lot
is. It's
for
so high,
quilting.
but I'm like, that's the biggest in the industry. That's the biggest in the industry,
That's
right? To be
crazy.
the biggest in
Oh, so
real
there's
estate,
there's
you
room
got to
there.
you got
Yeah,
yeah, but
millions. I would think, right?
right. Grant Cardone's got 4 million, something like that. So my point is, I'm like, I don't know how many people are in Boston real estate. How many people are in Massachusetts Airbnb? Like, can you just be the king of that little? Can you go be the king of that
Hmm.
hill first?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's like defining your avatar, right? Defining who you're gonna go after.
Yeah, and then
Niching
just
down
wake
to
up,
that.
and you don't even have to only talk about those things. I don't think you just have to talk about something, and then like just stay on
Yeah.
message a little bit. So you're like, hey, yo, you want to talk more? I talk about Airbnbs because that's what I'm doing. But then I think people kind of get, myself included. You get in your head, and you're like, how do I get the ball rolling? I'm like, you just what did you do today?
Yeah. Just
What did you learn
documenting
today?
it.
Yeah, what did you learn today? I mean, I started blogging. I didn't do any SEO. I didn't do any outreach. I didn't do any
Mm.
marketing. I just said, "Hey, I bought my fifth rental property. Here's how I did it. Here's all the numbers." And like people found it. It was just blogging. I wasn't sharing it really. It was just like when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, I have this blog, and then I go on a podcast or two, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I got blog. Everything I know is at this website, yada yada yada. And people would talk about it because they're like, "Oh, this fucking guy just says he's very transparent, and he's buying rentals. So like, he's doing the Burr method." That was it. It's like I
Wow.
didn't have. I got like maybe at peak. It had like 1,000 viewers per month. So like by blogging
Wow.
standards, it's like that's nothing. But it raised me
Yeah, but
2 million bucks in capital.
yeah. See,
You
that's crazy.
so it's like okay. Here's the old example. You ever heard the 1,000 true fans? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's that? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I told Miss Kate this today. I'm like, Miss Kate, her Instagram's slowing down this week, and she's like she's not getting upset, but she's like, why is it slowing down? I'm like, dude, you have 10,000 people, but like her reels consistently get more than 10,000 views. I'm like, the people who like you are diehards, and you don't have 1,000. You might
Mm.
have 10,000. And I said, Miss Kate, if 1,000 people spent $100 with you a year, it's a wait 1,000 times 100. That's $100,000 a year. If 10% of them spent $100 in a year, I'm like, that's not like big money, but that'll run your quilt store.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good start. What if, God
That
forbid, what
means
if they,
people. Yeah,
yeah, what if they spent any more than that? What if you know what I mean? Like, that's $100 in a
yeah.
year. What if
I
they,
know
what
it.
if they
Yeah,
spent, yeah, what if they spent $500 a
I would
day with
imagine.
you?
Yeah, people have to be spending big money on quilts too.
It's so
So
expensive.
there's yeah,
So, so
yeah.
anyways,
No,
I
that's a great
think,
point.
yeah, I think like for you, I would define, and then I got to split out of here, and I would think like, well, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Because with her, she's like, it's easy to get caught in the numbers. It's easy to get
Mm.
caught in the numbers and be like, hey, I need 10, I need 10,000 followers. This and that. I'm like, how many customers do you need?
Mm.
Also,
Yeah, I mean,
90,
yeah,
99% of the internet is done in the DMs. 99% of the internet is not happening where you can see it.
so that's so interesting. Do you? I know you got to split. So I don't know if you have time to field this last question. How do you get in? How do you do that? How do you get in? How are you? making business happen behind the scenes because I feel like I do a little bit of cold outreach to like some people in this area who I'm being strategic. I'm trying to be strategic with, and I think I
Yeah.
just get lost in the inbox.
You have to respond to everybody. Oh, you get lost in their inboxes? Oh, hit him again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hit him. Yeah. Dude, aggressive.
Yeah.
You're in sales, dude. You're in sales.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
waiting for
Yeah.
your hey, you must have missed my message.
Yeah.
You know what I do? Sometimes when I really want to get somebody's attention, I'll make a story with my face and tag them in it. Bro, do you know that freaking Alex, I messaged him like 3 times and he won't answer me? Does anybody know this guy? Can somebody send him a direct text message and tell him to answer my DMs on Instagram, please? And then I'll tag him and then you get your attention.
Interesting. Okay, that's a bold move. Maybe I'll go for it. I'll send a couple more DMs first and then go for it if I need to.
Yeah, all that stuff. Some people like text, so like if you text them, it'll work. Some people don't want to get like video text, like they want like some people watch videos. I won't. If you send me a video or a voice message, I'm not listening to it.
Mm.
And some people
Yeah, I
only
don't
watch
listen
like
to voicemails. Yeah.
right. Well, if you send like a voice message over DM, but if I send you maybe if you send somebody your face, you're like, yo, this is Alex. This is what I need from you. I saw you're doing this. I want this business. Blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's a weird vibe, dude. Also, local meetups. You know,
Yeah, I just started going to some. I can't believe
you
I
gotta
didn't go to any before.
yeah, you got to burn that down. You got to like really be known.
Yeah.
And then you just got to tell everybody the
Yeah.
same boring ass thing. I buy and manage short-term rentals in this area. I buy and manage short-term rentals in this area. And then people just start associating that with your face. And then
Yeah.
interesting things happen when you do that for a year or 2 years and it's like there's 5 of you in Salem, Massachusetts that buy and manage Airbnbs. In 5 years, most of you will quit. And so you might be the last one standing. Now you win. Now you get all the business.
Yeah. 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 That's like my biggest competitor is like that. They've been around for 30 years, but they're super dinosaurs. They're so antiquated. And so once they're done, it's like I'm the last man standing for two beach towns. So
Yeah,
that's
so
I see
you can
that.
beat them now if they're are they on social?
No, no, no. I mean, they have
Well,
like
you're
a
not either,
business Facebook, but it's like pitiful.
and you're
I
not
know,
either.
I know. I laugh at them. I'm like, I'm not doing anything either. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm
yeah,
gonna. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm just as guilty. So I don't say this like you. We both know better. It's like you can fail with me or you can be better than me.
totally. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, hey, this was awesome. I appreciate you opening up the calendar. Maybe I'll follow up in a
Of
couple
course.
months when I
Yeah, I would love it.
get some private money.
I would love to. Yeah. I'm gonna send you a couple emails. I got some friends that
Yeah,
be useful for you to meet.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
And
I love that.
yeah, I love talking to people. So if you share this link, that'd be great. Actually, I have a different link. Well, it doesn't matter. That's fine. Yeah, I'd be grateful.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna send a pic. I took a little screenshot just now. I'm gonna send it to my pod. Tell them they should all sign up and yeah, get the ball rolling. Get some more people in here.
Dude, when you post on social tomorrow, text me.
Okay, I'll tag you.
Tag me. Are you going to
Cool.
Denver? Are you going
All
to
right,
BFT
man.
in Denver?
I don't know yet. We're still trying to figure it out. Um,
Yes.
I'm
The
hoping.
answer is
I know
yes.
we're gonna go to. Yes. We're gonna go to BBCon for sure. I don't know if you're planning on going there,
Yeah, I'm the
but
start.
oh, sweet. Yeah, Denver's up in the air a little bit. Though I would love to go. We'll see it.
Dude,
We'll have our VAs in place for about a month there, so that'll try and sneak away after they're
fucking
rolling.
commit, Alex. God almighty.
I know. I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, what the heck, man? I'm going to be there. This ain't like social where I'm like, I'm failing too. I'm like, no, I'm going to win. Yo, this is working so good on
Yeah.
you. This is working
Talk to my
so good
wife.
on you right now. I
Talk to
love
my
this.
wife. I know. I know. Hey, I would go. You gotta tell. You gotta.
No, 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 no.
You
Take some
gotta
fucking
tell my wife.
responsibility for
Oh.
yourself. Don't blame it on her. What the heck? You just throwing her under the bus?
It's
That's
the
messed
baby.
up, bro. It's the baby.
No,
It's the
I'm throwing
baby's
it on.
fault.
It's the baby. It's the baby. It's the 5-month-old. I
That's
blame
funny.
him.
All right, my dude. I gotta go.
Cool.
I gotta get dinner.
All right. Hey, good talking. Nice meeting
Yeah. Hang tight 1 second.
you. Okay.